This is America in the Morning from Westwood One. Good morning, I'm John Trout. It's Monday, December 1st, 2025. Here's what's coming up on America in the Morning.
A bipartisan group of lawmakers say they support a congressional investigation into the strikes against suspected drug smugglers out of Venezuela. I'm John Stolnis in Washington.
A birthday party in Northern California turns deadly.
15 victims of gunshot wounds at this party.
I'm Clayton Neville.
Donna Warder has the latest on talks between the U.S. and Ukraine held in Florida on Sunday, and more is being learned about the Afghan immigrants suspected of shooting 2 West Virginia National Guard members just 500 yards from the White House.
Americans may or may not open their wallets this holiday season, depending on whom you ask, but they will be going to the movies. I'm Peter Schacknow.
A poll shows only about 1/4 of U.S. adults think democracy is functioning very or moderately well. I'm Mike Hempen.
All ahead on America in the Morning. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth is defending the U.S. military's recent strikes on what they say are drug smuggling vessels out of Venezuela that some Democrats say could be a war crime. John Stolnis reports from Washington. This amid a continued buildup of military in the Caribbean and President Trump warning airlines to stay out of Venezuelan airspace, saying that it is closed.
Lawmakers from both sides of the aisle say they support a congressional inquiry into the strikes that Hegseth has defended in the Caribbean Sea and Pacific Ocean. A Washington Post report stated Hegseth personally ordered the Navy to fire on those vessels a second time after they had already been hit and were unable to defend themselves, including at people in the water. Democratic Senator Chris Van Hollen was asked on ABC's This Week if those actions were a war crime.
Even if you accept their legal theory, that it is a war crime. And so I do believe that the Secretary of Defense should be held accountable for giving those kind of orders.
That sentiment echoed by Democratic Senator Mark Kelly on CNN State of the Union.
If what has been reported is accurate, I've got serious concerns about anybody in that chain of command stepping over a line that they should never step over. We are not Russia. We're not Iraq. We hold ourselves to a very high standard. Going after survivors in the water, that is clearly not lawful.
Republican Congressman Mike Turner said if Hegseth ordered a secondary strike on defenseless combatants, that it would be an illegal act. Hegseth denied wrongdoing in a social media post on X saying, quote, "Fake news is delivering more fabricated, inflammatory, and derogatory reporting to discredit our incredible warriors fighting to protect the homeland." Aboard Air Force One, President Trump denied knowing anything about the report.
I don't know anything about it. He said he did not say that, and I believe it.
You don't know if there was
You're talking about the 2 men?
The second strike to kill the 2 men.
No, he said he didn't do it. He said he did it.
Trump also raised eyebrows with a social media post over the weekend warning airlines and pilots that the airspace near Venezuela was closed.
Does your warning mean that an airstrike is imminent, or should we not read it that way?
Don't read anything into it.
And Trump was asked if a New York Times report that he conducted a phone call with Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro last month was true.
I don't want to comment on it. The answer is yes.
Then can you tell us a little bit about it?
No, I can't do that.
Mr. President, would you say it went well?
I wouldn't say it went well or badly. It was a phone call.
John Stolnis, Washington.
There were meetings the Trump administration called productive between a U.S. team led by Secretary of State Marco Rubio and a delegation from Ukraine, which included talks on possible elections, security guarantees, and land swaps, a topic that Vladimir Putin said must happen or the war would not end. Correspondent Donna Warder reports on the talks and plans for Special Envoy Steve Witkoff and President Trump's son-in-law Jared Kushner to head to Moscow this week.
We continue this very important work, building off what's been achieved, not just in Geneva, the progress we made there, but the progress throughout the week as we've been communicating.
At the beginning of talks in Florida between American and Ukrainian negotiators, Secretary of State Marco Rubio said the goal is more than an end to the killing and suffering in Ukraine in a war with Russia that began in early 2022.
This is not just about ending a war. This is about ending a war in a way that creates a mechanism and a way forward that will allow them to be independent and sovereign, never have another war again, and create tremendous prosperity for its people. Not just rebuild the country, but to enter an era of extraordinary economic progress. The end goal is obviously not just the end of the war. Obviously, that's central and fundamental. We want to see the end of the killing and the death and the suffering, and I'm sure the Ukrainian side, I know they do as well. They want peace.
Rustem Umerov, head of Ukraine's Security Council, said he appreciates U.S. efforts.
U.S. is hearing us, U.S. is supporting us, U.S. is walking beside us. We are discussing about the future of Ukraine, about the security of Ukraine, about no repetition of aggression of Ukraine, about prosperity of Ukraine, about how to rebuild Ukraine.
Sunday's meeting also sets the stage for planned talks this week in Moscow with Russian leader Vladimir Putin.
But there's more work to be done. This is delicate, it's complicated, there are a lot of moving parts, and obviously there's another party involved here that'll have to be a part of the equation, and that'll continue later this week when Mr. Woodcock travels to Moscow, although we've also been in touch in varying degrees with the Russian side.
I'm Donna Warder.
When we return on America in the Morning, immigration paused for applicants from third world countries after these messages. Welcome back, and thanks for listening. America in the Morning continues with the national forecast. Here's AccuWeather.com meteorologist Matt Rindy.
After a good amount of snow fell this past holiday weekend, we're starting off the work week with another system moving through the central plains, and that will bring another round of snow to southeast Nebraska into northern Kansas to start the day and then spread quickly eastward into Iowa, Missouri, and Illinois this afternoon, even reaching Indiana and Michigan by late in the day. Snow will shift as far east as New York and Pennsylvania, southward to Ohio and West Virginia tonight. Snow totals will generally range from 1 to 3 inches, but a few places could see as much as 6 inches. A little farther to the south in Oklahoma into Arkansas, there will be a mixture of ice and snow, which could lead to some slippery travel. And the same storm will produce widespread rain through eastern Texas into Louisiana, and then continuing to Mississippi and Alabama later this morning into the afternoon, even reaching Georgia by late in the day. And there could even be a rumble of thunder near the Gulf Coast. Meanwhile, another storm diving southward out of western Canada will cause snow to develop late in the day across parts of eastern Washington, northern Idaho, and western Montana, and then spread into Wyoming late tonight. A few inches of snow will be possible from that. Otherwise, we're looking at largely dry weather across the rest of the nation, with bitterly cold temperatures moving into the north central states, around North Dakota, into northern Minnesota, even into northern South Dakota. Some places will start out below zero and only climb into the teens this afternoon, and this is about 15 to 25 degrees below the historical average. That's the weather across America. It will be quite cold in Aberdeen, South Dakota today with plenty of clouds. We'll have a high of just 19. It's going to be a little bit warmer in Orlando, Florida with sun and clouds and a high near 80. That's the nation's weather. I'm AccuWeather.com meteorologist Matt Rindy.
Follow us wherever you get your podcasts. Search America in the Morning in your favorite listening app. Carnage in California after a shooting at a birthday party in Stockton left 4 people dead, including 3 children. Correspondent Clayton Neville reports.
The suspected shooter is still on the run.
We need everyone who has any information on this to reach out to us. This is the time for our community to show that we will not put up with this, where people will just walk in and kill children.
San Joaquin County Sheriff Patrick Withrow.
Our units responded and found approximately 15 victims of gunshot wounds at this party, and unfortunately 4 of those 15 are deceased now.
3 of the victims were children. Investigators say it's believed the shooting may have been targeted, but no suspects were named.
We've been actively investigating this, obviously, from the moment it happened. We've had our team on the scene processing it for the past 21 hours. And while that was going on, we were actively following up all the leads that we have, looking for witness statements, asking anyone to give us any video that they might have of this incident, and following every lead that we have at this time. I am confident in our team and with the work that we have done so far, that we will find these animals that did this and bring them to justice.
The ages of the victims killed: 8, 9, 14, and 21. I'm Clayton Neville.
Authorities believe the Afghan immigrant accused of attacking National Guard members in Washington, D.C. last week was radicalized after arriving in the U.S. Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem told NBC News Meet the Press that more's being learned about Rahmanullah Lochinwall, the 29-year-old suspect in the D.C. shootings. Lochinwall entered the U.S. legally in 2021 under the Biden administration's Operation Allies Welcome program, evacuating those who assisted the U.S. military in the fight against the Taliban. While Noem admitted asylum was formally granted to Lochinwall during the Trump administration in April, she pointed the finger of blame at the previous administration for letting him into the U.S. Since the attack, President Trump announced he's imposing additional restrictions on migrants seeking to enter the U.S., including a halt on all immigration from what he describes as third world countries. Coming up on America in the Morning, Black Friday numbers, Cyber Monday expectations, after these messages. The Business Report is sponsored by Gusto. Gusto is a simple online payroll and benefits tool built for small businesses. Learn more at gusto.com/radio. With the Monday Report, here's CNBC's Peter Schacknow.
Will 2025 bring holiday cheer to the nation's retailers? Most likely, yes, based on the fact that what consumers say doesn't always match what they do. Adobe estimates that online spending amounted to a record $11.7 billion on Black Friday and predicts $14.2 billion in online spending today, widely known as Cyber Monday. On the other hand, more than 80% of Americans say that costs are higher this year as they start their holiday shopping, and about 40% plan to spend less as a result. That's according to the CNBC SurveyMonkey Small Business Saturday survey. LSEG Director of Consumer Research, Jaron Martis, says retailers are more aggressively pushing discounts this year, but on fewer products.
They're very much concerned with the volatility they've seen this year around tariffs. They are concerned about the demand, and as a result, they've become more strategic when it comes to pricing, also with inventory management, in order to really protect their competitive position and also gross margins.
Americans are spending money going to the movies, and it's possible annual box office receipts could top $9 billion, a mark achieved in 2023 but missed last year. Comscore senior media analyst Paul Garabedian says a strong Thanksgiving weekend gives the industry some momentum.
We're on a great pace right now with Avatar on the way, Five Nights at Freddy's 2 on Christmas Eve, and then Christmas Day. There will be a baker's dozen of films coming out. Anaconda, Marty Supreme with Timothée Chalamet, Song Sung Blue with Hugh Jackman and Kate Hudson. So a lot of big movies on the way.
While consumers have mixed feelings about spending, the mood of investors has swung back to the positive side, with a 5-day win streak at the end of November, wiping out the month's losses for both the Dow and S&P 500. Former Fed Vice Chairman Roger Ferguson attributes the upbeat market mood to recent comments by New York Fed President John Williams, in which he said he saw room for a near-term rate cut.
I think the market was reflecting what it heard, and we'll see if that's the right call. I actually think it puts the Fed in sort of a tough bind now, because there are many folks who I think are not ready to make the move. But on the other hand, now the Fed risks, if you want to use that phrase, disappointing the market.
The next Fed meeting takes place next week. One piece of data the Fed will not have in hand for that meeting will be the November jobs report. It would ordinarily be out this Friday, but because of the recently ended government shutdown, that report won't be out until December 16th. However, the ADP private sector employment report will be out this Wednesday. We'll be getting an indication of how some retailers were doing ahead of the holiday season, with earnings reports due from Macy's, American Eagle, Dollar Tree, Dollar General, Ulta Beauty, and Victoria's Secret. And we'll see how many cars were driven off dealer lots when November auto sales come out tomorrow.
Thank you, sir. CNBC's Peter Schacknow. When we return on America in the Morning, Americans' thoughts on democracy. A new poll after these messages. Welcome back. You're with America in the Morning. There's a new poll out showing Americans generally like democracy, but as correspondent Mike Hempen reports, the majority feel they don't think it's working too well.
A new Kettering Foundation Gallup poll shows only about 1/4 of U.S. adults think democracy is functioning very or moderately well, but around half believe it is functioning very or moderately poorly in the U.S. The results show a sharp decline from several years ago, when a majority of American adults thought democracy was generally working the way it should. The poll also shows few adults think the country's leaders are committed to a democratic governance or believe government decisions reflect the will of the people. The poll is part of an initiative that studies how Americans experience democracy. I'm Mike Hempen.
Cory Booker will be changing his marital status. The New Jersey senator and longtime bachelor married his fiancée Alexis Lewis over the weekend, sharing photos of himself and his newlywed wife on social media. The couple married in an interfaith ceremony. Booker, Christian, Lewis, Jewish, in Washington, D.C. Booker and Lewis met on a blind date in May and 3 months later announced their engagement. Lewis is the director of investments for a Los Angeles-based real estate firm. The couple will be calling Newark, New Jersey, their home. America in the Morning for Monday, December 1st, 2025 is produced by Jeff McKay. I'm John Trout. This is Westwood One. This is America in the Morning from Westwood One. I'm John Trout. Coming up this half hour.
Some parts of the Great Lakes region were hit pretty hard by a weekend snowstorm.
Illinois, that's all over a foot of snow.
I'm Donna Warder.
Another Republican announces he won't run for re-election. I'm Clayton Neville.
Hong Kong's deadliest fire in decades is raising questions about corruption and negligence. I'm Karen Shamas.
Iran has decided to boycott the World Cup draw in Washington. I'm Geffen Coolbaugh.
It was a record-making weekend at the holiday box office. I'm Kevin Carr.
Holiday shopping smashes records, protests over ice in New York City, and the latest arrest for a home improvement star. Back after these messages. America in the Morning back now. Today, the start of meteorological winter. Here's AccuWeather.com meteorologist Matt Rindy with the outlook.
Winter is off to a quick start as we enter the 1st of December. There's another system moving through the Central Plains that's going to bring snow to the area. This will start out the day in southeast Nebraska and northern Kansas and then spread eastward into Iowa, Missouri, and Illinois this afternoon, even reaching Indiana and Michigan by the end of the day. And then snow will continue to shift eastward tonight into New York and Pennsylvania, southward to Ohio and West Virginia. Snow totals are generally going to range from 1 to 3 inches, but there could be a few areas that get enhanced snowfall, seeing as much as 6 inches. A little bit farther to the south in Oklahoma and Arkansas, there will be a mixture of ice and snow, which could lead to some very slippery travel. And this same system will also produce widespread rain through eastern Texas into Louisiana, and then continuing eastward to Mississippi and Alabama later this morning into the afternoon, even reaching Georgia by late in the day. Could also be a rumble of thunder in there along the Gulf Coast. Meanwhile, another system is diving southward out of western Canada, and this will cause snow to develop late in the day across parts of eastern Washington into northern Idaho and western Montana, and then spread into Wyoming late tonight. Otherwise, we're looking at largely dry weather across the rest of the nation, with bitterly cold temperatures moving into the north central states, around North Dakota into northern Minnesota, and even northeast South Dakota. Some places will start out below zero this morning and only climb into the teens this afternoon. In the east, it's also going to be quite chilly compared to average, with dry weather and a mixture of clouds and sun. Highs will be in the 30s across the north and only warm into the 60s into the southeast, or about 5 to 15 degrees below average. And the rest of the west will also be dry with sunshine in the afternoon. Temperatures in the 30s in the north, warming to the 70s in the southwest. That's the nation's weather. I'm AccuWeather.com meteorologist Matt Rindy.
You can follow us wherever you get your podcasts. Simply search America in the Morning in your favorite listening app. The combination of a software glitch on a popular model airplane and winter weather around the Great Lakes has caused serious travel issues on the return home from Thanksgiving weekend. Icy roads in Indiana led to a massive 45-vehicle chain reaction pileup on Interstate 70. More than 1,400 flights were canceled Saturday, over 11,000 flights delayed, and another 1,400 canceled on Sunday on one of the busiest travel days of the year. Correspondent Donna Warder has the latest on what has caused massive flight delays in the U.S.
Both U.S. and European aviation safety agencies are requiring airlines to install a software update on the Airbus family of A320 aircraft. Airbus said Friday that the examination of a JetBlue plane that suddenly dropped in altitude last month revealed that intense solar radiation may corrupt data critical to functioning of flight controls. Tim Johnson, policy director with the UK's Civil Aviation Authority, tells Sky News the update is considered precautionary but urgent.
It's not all of the A320 aircraft, it's just some of the variants with a particular configuration of them. And it's asked airlines to make sure this maintenance, this precautionary maintenance is done as soon as possible.
It's considered a quick fix, taking most planes about 2 hours. More than 500 U.S. registered aircraft were affected, with American Airlines saying it completed most of the updates of its 209 affected planes on Friday.
We do have a fairly expansive area of winter storm warnings across this region.
National Weather Service meteorologist Andrew Orison says some parts of the Great Lakes region were hit pretty hard by a weekend snowstorm.
We did have areas of Iowa and Illinois that saw over a foot of snow. In fact, we had one report of 15 inches near a place called Fort Dodge in Iowa.
Now another storm is expected to develop Monday across parts of the Ohio Valley and the Mid-South, then head to parts of the Northeast.
And we're going to be seeing plenty of snowfall occurring. It's going to be the first snowfall of the season for many of these areas. And it's going to be rather significant with as much as 6 to 12 inches of snow and perhaps even locally higher amounts than that for some of the interior locations.
But Orison says
the good news is that it does not look like the major cities at this point are going to be looking at any significant snowfall. There may be some minor accumulations, perhaps from, let's say, areas north and west of Baltimore on up through Philadelphia, New York City, and up to Boston. But it's mainly going to be the interior areas where the heaviest accumulations are going to be.
I'm Donna Warder.
About 62% of all flights at Chicago's O'Hare Airport, one of the busiest in the nation, and nearly 60% of flights at Detroit, along with Reagan Airport in Washington, D.C., were delayed yesterday. Well, despite concerns over the economy and high prices, it didn't stop people from packing shopping malls and buying online. Adobe Analytics reported U.S. e-commerce sales hit a record $11.8 billion on Black Friday, up by 9% from last year's record-setting shopping spree. Between 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. on Black Friday, online shoppers spent $12.5 million every minute, according to Adobe. In addition, both Salesforce and Adobe saw a surge in AI-driven traffic to e-commerce sites, increasing 805% from Black Friday 2024. As for the shopping malls, they were just as busy as the cyber stores. Correspondent Lisa Dwyer reports.
With consumer confidence down this year, some malls, such as one near New Orleans, is popping the bubbly to lure in shoppers. Grandma-granddaughter duo Sandra and Lacey say,
the economy is bad, but you still got to celebrate.
The annual sales event still brings more shoppers into stores than any day of the year.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like sometimes online you can find better deals, but I always prefer to find something in person if I can, because I get to try it on, and I also just love browsing.
Dee Dee in Winston-Salem, North Carolina says it's the deals that attract her to the mall.
Definitely is. I think that's like a big reason as to why we're out here on Black Friday today, because I usually don't go shopping whenever there's not sales going on.
Back in New Orleans, that grandma-granddaughter duo have some advice.
Take your grandma to the mall and make memories with her, because it's the best thing to do.
It's all about memories.
Go and get out there.
I'm Lisa Dwyer.
Tomorrow is the day Tennessee voters go to the polls in a special House election race to replace Republican Mark Green in District 7, who left Congress to take a job in the private sector. In 2024, Green won his election by 22 points with the backing of President Trump. In tomorrow's election, the Republican leads his Democrat rival by just 2% in the polls. This as another Republican, Trump ally Troy Nehls, announced he won't run for re-election this year. Correspondent Clayton Neville has an update.
Republican Congressman Troy Nehls of Texas says that he decided not to seek re-election after speaking with his family over the Thanksgiving holiday. An announcement by Nehls on social media said that he plans to focus on his family and return home after this Congress. Nehls referred to President Trump as a true friend and said that he called the president to tell him directly that he won't run for a fourth term.
And had he sought one, he was a lock to win it.
Mark Jones is a political science professor at Rice University and spoke with KHOU-TV in Houston. He said the announcement by Nehls causes some uncertainty for Republicans in next year's midterms.
Right now, Republicans have a razor-thin majority in the U.S. House. And in most midterm elections, the president's party normally loses seats. It would take an exceptional election by President Trump in order to have Republicans retain their majority in the U.S. House.
The Republican majority will shrink after longtime Trump ally Marjorie Taylor Greene announced that she's leaving Congress. A special election will fill now New Jersey Governor Mikey Sherrill's seat in Congress in the spring. Shortly after Nehls' announcement Saturday, his twin brother Trevor Nehls announced that he would seek his brother's open seat. I'm Clayton Neville.
When we return on America in the Morning, at the worst time possible, UPS hits a logistics snag after these messages. A number of protesters were arrested Saturday amid scuffles with police officers outside the entrance of a parking garage in Manhattan, where dozens of federal agents had appeared to be gathering for an immigration raid nearby. As agents with Customs and Border Protection and the Department of Homeland Security attempted to move out of the garage where they were assembled, they were blocked by more than 100 protesters. Police officers soon arrived on the scene and clashes continued into the afternoon. The New York Post reported that police were caught off guard and unaware of the planned federal raid on Saturday, which led to officers being pelted with debris. On Sunday, anti-ICE protesters held a more subdued rally outside a Manhattan government building. Shifting gears. It appears not every package may get to its destination on time. Correspondent Ben Thomas reports UPS is dealing with a logistics issue just as the holiday shopping season's getting underway.
UPS grounded its fleet of McDonnell Douglas MD-11s after a fiery crash in Louisville, Kentucky. 14 people were killed, including the plane's crew of 3, when the left engine detached during takeoff. Now, the company says that fleet is expected to miss the peak holiday season as it goes through inspections and possible repairs. An internal memo predicts it'll be several months before the MD-11 fleet returns to service. UPS says it intends to rely on contingency plans to deliver for customers throughout the peak holiday season. I'm Ben Thomas.
With concerns over their reaction with the United States, Canada announced they're planning on building a massive oil pipeline from Alberta to the Pacific Ocean in hopes of exploring oil abroad. Jennifer King reports it's not without controversy.
In remarks to the Calgary Chamber of Commerce, Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney says he and the Premier of Alberta have signed a memorandum of understanding towards building an oil pipeline to the Pacific coast.
There is a fair bit of interest, as an understatement maybe, in Asia for Canadian energy.
The agreement also adjusts a ban on oil tankers off parts of British Columbia. Carney says Canada must diversify their exports beyond the United States.
The U.S., as is their right, is transforming all of its trading relationships. But as a consequence of that, many of our strengths, based on historic close ties with America, have become our vulnerabilities.
The move is being met with opposition from both British Columbia and First Nation officials. Minister of Culture Stephen Guilbeault, a staunch environmentalist, resigned from the cabinet, saying the pipeline would cross the Great Bear Rainforest and increases the risk of a tanker spill. I'm Jennifer King.
The death toll has risen past 146 as investigators continue to find more bodies in a high-rise apartment fire in Hong Kong, and nearly 100 people are still unaccounted for. Correspondent Karen Shamas has the latest.
Hong Kong's deadliest fire in decades is raising questions about corruption and negligence in the renovations of the apartment complex where people died. Police on Wednesday arrested 3 men from a construction company on suspicion of manslaughter and gross negligence. They were released on bail but then arrested by the Independent Commission Against Corruption that pointed to the men's leadership role in the renovations. On Friday, a local Hong Kong TV station filmed anti-corruption agency workers searching the suspects' offices and seizing relevant documents and bank records. The agency had also previously arrested 7 men and 1 woman associated with the project. I'm Karen Shamas.
Today is Cyber Monday, and this year you don't have to shop alone. Many online retailers are including AI agents to help make your cyber shopping experience a breeze. Chuck Palm has that in today's Tech Report.
Today is Cyber Monday, the traditional day of shopping online for your holiday gifts. Online retail shopping sites like Amazon, Walmart, and Target are unleashing AI upgrades that make your Cyber Monday shopping experience that much easier. Even ChatGPT now has a feature that helps you shop for picky people, from online review and prices to ease you into the shopping experience using AI. Walmart's AI, dubbed Sparky, tailors suggestions by occasion, while Target's Gift Finder nails the hot trends in your kid's age group. Not to be left out, Google's AI is rolling out a feature that dials local stores and checks the stocks for those hard-to-find items. Google spokesperson Lillian Rinkin said it's an expansionary moment for e-commerce that pressures prices downward. You can still check my new website at thenewOldTechGuy.com for the Cyber Monday Top 5 deals online. I'm Chuck Palm.
Monday Sports is in. Here's America in the Morning's Robert Workman.
NFL Week 13 Sunday, Bryce Young threw 3 touchdown passes as the Panthers upended the Rams 31-28.
Again, I just trust my guys. There's no big conversation, no big hoorah. Again, for me, I'm super grateful to have guys like that on the perimeter that I trust.
That ended LA's 6-game win streak and knocked them out of the top seed in the NFC. That spot now belongs to the Bears, who clipped the Eagles' wings on Black Friday. Texans tripped the Colts while the Jaguars trampled the Titans to move into first place in the AFC South. Bills stomped the Steelers. That knocks Pittsburgh out of first in the AFC North. Josh Allen picked up his 76th career rushing touchdown. That breaks Cam Newton's record. Seahawks blanked the Vikings, Seattle's first shutout in 10 years. Dolphins held off the Saints. New Orleans' 2-point try to tie the game late was picked off by Minkah Fitzpatrick and returned to the house for the clinching points for Miami. Nick Folk's 56-yard field goal as time ran out lifted the Jets over the Falcons. Broncos squeaked past the Commanders Sunday night in overtime. Each team reached the end zone in OT, but Washington's 2-point try for the win, swatted away by Nick Bonito. Wins for the 49ers, Chargers, and Buccaneers. College football, the Lane Kiffin saga ended with the Mississippi coach leaving the 11-1 Rebels to take the LSU job. Reportedly a 7-year deal at $12 million per. Ole Miss immediately promoted defensive coordinator Pete Golding to head coach, no interim tag, so he will lead them into the playoff. NBA, the Thunder snuffed out the Blazers for their 12th straight win. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander had 26 points. OKC now 20-1. NHL, Wyatt Johnson's hat trick spurred the Stars to a 6-1 shellacking of the Senators. That's Monday Sports.
When we return on America in the Morning, TV sitcom star arrested again after these messages. America in the Morning continues. One of the television stars of the classic sitcom Home Improvement is in trouble with the law again. Zachary Ty Bryan, who played Brad Taylor, the eldest child on Home Improvement, was arrested in Eugene, Oregon over the weekend, allegedly violated his probation tied to a domestic violence conviction. Bryan's fiancée was also arrested, charged with driving under the influence and attempted first-degree assault. For Bryan, it marks his 6th arrest in 5 years, which includes 2 times for driving under the influence. Shifting gears, later this week, representatives from all the nations who will play in the 2026 World Cup will be at the Kennedy Center in Washington, D.C. for the announcement of their placement in the event. That is all but one that has decided to boycott the proceedings. Correspondent Gethin Coolbaugh reports.
Iran has decided to boycott the World Cup draw in Washington. The U.S. denied visas to members of the Iranian delegation, according to the state-run IRNA news agency. Iranian Soccer Federation spokesman Amir Mahdi Alavi said officials faced visa obstacles beyond sports considerations. The federation has reached out to FIFA for help, but there was no immediate response. President Trump's administration announced a travel ban in June, affecting citizens from 12 countries, including Iran. I'm Gethin Coolbaugh.
Those who went to the movies over the holiday weekend were more likely to take in a sequel. Your weekend box office report with entertainment reporter Kevin Carr.
Disney Critters and Ozian Witches feasted at the Thanksgiving box office while other sequels got the leftovers.
Hops and Wild. Dream Team.
As expected, Disney's Zootopia 2 topped the chart with $156 million for the 5-day frame and $97 million for the traditional 3-day weekend.
It's the fuzz!
Toot toot. The film overperformed to become the second highest Thanksgiving release of all time, right after last year's Moana 2.
You know, this is not your worst idea.
With massive overseas numbers, including $272 million from China alone, this animated flick has already earned more than $500 million worldwide.
There's no going back.
In a strong second was Wicked for Good, with $93 million for the Thanksgiving frame and $63 million for its sophomore weekend. The rest of the top 5 were on repeat.
It is very good to be back.
In third place was the magic show heist Now You See Me, Now You Don't, with $10 million for the 5-day and $7 million for the weekend.
We might not be alone in this hunt.
Predator Badlands came in fourth with $6.6 million for Thanksgiving and $4.8 million for the weekend. Welcome to The Running Man. And bringing up the rear wasn't a sequel, but a reboot instead. Edgar Wright's The Running Man limped into 5th place with $5.5 million for Turkey Day and $3.7 million for the 3-day frame. I'm Kevin Carr.
America in the Morning for Monday, December 1st, 2025 is produced by Jeff McKay. I'm John Trout. This is Westwood One.